He was their deep threat. He was Purdy's favorite target.
Yep.
And I am shocked at how badly they appear to have botched this. Because they're not going to get a first-round pick. And whatever pick they get is not going to be on the, is not going to be on the team this year because the draft is not until after this year. The Steelers, I do think they're likely to get a player, most likely some type of offensive line help, but no noteworthy name, no one on the Amari Cooper level, which is what we discussed yesterday. And you saw this train coming down the tracks. Here's the thing about Brandon Aiyuk. He has not been subtle. Remember when he posted on, was it TikTok, the Washington All-22 that he was studying? He was tweeting to Mike Tomlin. Yeah. He was talking openly on the pivot and anywhere. I want to get out of here. These guys don't want to pay me. Reportedly, the Steelers offered a first-round pick before the draft. And the Niners, a couple weeks ago, John Lynch, no intention to trade Brandon Aiyuk. Now, it can be messy to do what I would consider Brew-style negotiations, which is you're under contract. So are you not going to play football? Right. I mean, it's not a criticism at old school. Yeah, it's not a criticism.
You got a contract.
You're under contract. Show up. You're not going to sit out a whole year. But it appeared that's what they were going to do. To go down that road and then in the last minute be like, all right, never mind, we'll trade you. And we'll actually trade you to the place you wanted and probably not get the type of return we could have gotten months ago or maybe even the best return we could have gotten in this trade market if Aiyuk hadn't nixed a trade to New England or to Cleveland. Potentially. It's for a team that is SBOB.
They're definitely SBOB.
It's not a disaster because, now they can't compete. Right. But it's a disaster of process. Yeah. And it's a disaster of a squandered asset with no return for this upcoming season.
Well, I think what he did, and again, if it had gotten to the point where they're not trading him, the season's about to start, we would see who would budge. But it was a game of chicken at this point, and he was making it so ugly that they must have realized or at least felt like, you know what, he's not going to play, or if he does play, he's going to have an attitude or whatever. Look, it's definitely a loss for the Niners. I mean, he like you said, he was Brock Purdy's favorite receiver. He became their number one receiver over the last few years with Purdy. And he obviously, as Nick said, was their deep threat. But I think what this does is put even more – their health has always been, over this run in the last 5 years, a little shaky. Whether it was Garoppolo, whether it was Debo, right? McCaffrey has had injury problems in the past. So now with Aiyuk, it was okay. Now if Debo gets hurt, which he usually misses a few games a year, now you don't have a number one level receiver. Ricky Pearsall, I've been mentioning him as a rookie, but yeah, he got hurt yesterday, hurt his shoulder. He had a hamstring before that, so who knows if he'll be healthy. And then, I mean, Jawan Jennings is good. He's not a number one or really two receiver.
Right, he's really good as a three.
Right. So I just think that it puts a mandate now on all their weapons being healthy. Whereas if you had lost Debo, you still had Aiyuk. All that said, they're still very much a Super Bowl contender. They lose a little something. If I'm a Niners fan, I am ticked off, and I get it. Aiyuk reportedly didn't want to go there, but I'm ticked off that they couldn't get the deal done with Cleveland, because Amari Cooper, while I don't think he's quite as good at this point as Aiyuk, I don't think they would have missed the beat. And if he played well this year, you could probably keep him at a lower number and maybe keep some of the guys you might have to lose a year from now. So that would have been great if I'm a Niners fan. But now, yeah, they take a step back. But look, 8 guys in the top 100, still 7 in the top 30. They still have, and it's spread out between defense and offense. They're still very much a contender, but they took a little step back.
Listen, they still have more blue chipper skill position players than any team in the league. They have 3. Now, Brew might argue Philly also has 3 because if you think Saquon's a blue chipper, but nobody, even without Aiyuk, Debo, Kittle, McCaffrey, no team in the league except for Philly, if Saquon's 1, has even 3, and they have the best left tackle in football to go along with it. And I know we'll talk Brock later, if Brock's that guy, this is not a situation of, well, he doesn't have the weapons. He is still richer on weapons than just about any quarterback in the league. But this has been a really rough few months for San Francisco. They are a team that has been banging on the Super Bowl door for the last 5 years. They lose the Super Bowl. In my opinion, the single best player on their team is still holding out. He's 36 years old, wants a new contract.
And you feel they'll get that done?
I think they'll get it. I think Trent Williams will be there. It should be noted, Trent Williams is one of the few players who has had a true holdout. That's how he got out of Washington and held the line. But he's 36. I think he'll get it done. But I also think training camp matters to a degree. I think sometimes missing training camp raises your risk of injury in the year. So it's not ideal that he's not there. Do we agree? That's not what they would prefer.
Yeah.
Brandon Aiyuk is gone. Christian McCaffrey is dealing with, I don't know if we're on Hobble Watch. Yeah, Christian McCaffrey is dealing with.
Never ends.
Hey, thank you. Calf strain. And their first-round pick, which they used on wide receiver, potentially anticipating some type of issue like this, as Brew mentioned, has been injured 3 times, and it's August 7th. That's not a good offseason. There's no way around it. Like, that is not headed in the right direction.
All right, I have a question for Brew. I'll throw it back to you. What do you think, and this is a little bit, we didn't discuss this. What was Aiyuk's leverage here? Do you think he was either going to miss games? Mangini talks about a hard-to-diagnose injury. But here's the other thing. We've got 2 other big-name wide receivers who are unhappy with their contracts.
CeeDee Lamb.
Jamar and CD. Are they looking at this being like, traded? I wonder how this is going to affect me now.
Well, I don't think I'm guessing they're not fearing being traded. But your first question is great. What is his leverage? His leverage is, my back. That's the only leverage.
What we think might happen with T. Higgins on this franchise tag.
Well, Higgins has said several times he's going to play.
Wait till he's banged up.
Okay.
Wait till like week 8.
I hear you. But that's the only leverage a receiver or a player has in this instance, because if Aiyuk, he can't sit out. He wouldn't get paid the $14 million, nor would he accrue the season so he could sit out, or become a free agent in the summer. He had no leverage except a fake injury.
So I don't agree.
And maybe they got to. You don't agree with that?
No, because I think
because if you act up with an attitude, then other teams may look at you. He's kind of a prima donna.
But prima donnas get paid. Good wide receivers get paid. It doesn't matter the attitude stuff. And historically, you have to really.
I mean, name some of the historic. Antonio Brown.
Antonio Brown
Randy
kept
Moss.
getting paid.
As great as Aiyuk, is he one of them?
No, but he also, again, being upset about a contract, I don't think labels you a prima donna.
No, but I'm saying if he would have, make a stir.
I think he'd still get paid. But I think you're on to what his leverage is. I think sometimes we forget. Football teams are workplaces. And having someone important at work that is visibly miserable, that is pouting, that is moping, that is making it uncomfortable for people has a downstream effect on everything. I know we're going to talk about the Eagles in a bit. Seems like the supernatural funk might have been part of that. I really think because we watch the games on Sundays and we talk about it, we forget, man, they show up to work at 8 in the morning. Yeah. They're they eat together, all these things. And I think teams really do have an allergy of, man, this guy's going to be miserable. He's going to make the meeting room miserable. Those things. That is the leverage is that I'm going to be a pain in the ass to have in the building, so you might as well get me out of the building. And I think for a lot of people watching, that's relatable. You've been at work and had someone who might have been good, but was always in a bad mood. And then when they left, you felt better about going to work.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oddly, hold in. Better leverage than hold out.
Yes, right.
I'm going to hold in.
I'm going to be here and be which is what he was doing. Yep. He was there, and
although he looked like he was.
Well, in that moment, it looked like it was fine. But yeah, I think that's a real piece of leverage.
Yeah. Tough loss for that viral video of him
dapping
shaking hands.
Kyle.
Average yards per catch. Pickens was number 1, Aiyuk was number 2. So, Brew.
Nick doesn't like Pickens.
No,
I love it.
it's hold on. It's not that I don't like Pickens.
Every time I mention George Pickens as a big,
I don't, Brew.
I
don't think George Pickens is one of the 25 best receivers in the league. I think you agree.
Number 1.
I don't know. I don't want to do a countdown.
I understand. Right? I'm not going to do a countdown. But
he's one of the 25 most talented.
Sure,
that's for sure.
He's very talented.
Okay,
yeah,
that's
he also doesn't seem to like all parts of football. But go ahead.
He did have that one block. He got yelled at. Yeah. All right, so do we expect this move to propel the Steelers back to the playoffs?
All right, look, it's not predictions week.
No.
So you can't hold me to this.
Yeah, he's back.
Well, we're going to delay it.
We're going to delay it? Okay, good.
But you can't hold me to this. But now,
pencil.
And my hometown is going to kill me.
Which hometown?
I know. You got to wait and see.
He's going to have Cincy out.
My playoff teams right now.
All of them?
Well, I mean, Buffalo, the Jets, the Dolphins. So the only one division going to get 3. Houston, Kansas City, Baltimore, Pittsburgh.
Cincinnati!
Wow. They have, and look, they have made because I don't like the vibes coming out of Cincinnati.
Wow.
They have made the playoffs, the Steelers, 3 of the last 4 years with what, Wildes? Some of the worst quarterback play in the league.
I thought it was the Jets.
Well, the Jets, that might be later. But some of the worst quarterback play in the league.
Okay.
We know their defense is going to be legit. We know they're going to have a solid, at least solid run game. Pickens, Aiyuk. What this really is the true and complete litmus test for whoever's the quarterback, Russell Wilson or Justin Fields. If you can't succeed with this, because Freiermuth is a good tight end.
Yeah.
You got Arthur Blank now calling plays. He's legit. Like, if you cannot succeed, and I'm not saying you have to be all pro, but if you can't succeed in this, then Russ truly is washed, and Justin truly is
not a starting quarterback.
Maybe a backup for the rest of his career, however long that might even be. So it's on the quarterbacks.
Okay.
Really.
So can I? Because I don't even know that I disagree with you. I just want to follow up on one thing. Do you have any trepidation about picking a team right now, preliminarily, to make the playoffs over a team led by Joe Burrow, when in part of your analysis was whoever the quarterback is? Is there any trepidation?
We know it's going to be
right.
We know it's going to be either a guy, and obviously neither one of them is Burrow, but it's going to be a guy in Fields who's got great talent and dynamic ability, or Wilson who's had success and maybe can turn the clock back. You and I disagree on how bad Russ was last year. Yeah. I would say it's real, though. I think you would agree with this. His numbers were pretty good. Didn't throw for a ton of yards, but 26 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, 6 in the league in passer rating. He wasn't quite that good, but I think he's somewhere in between where you think he was, which was horrible, and the numbers.
Well,
I think he's somewhere in between the numbers and where you.
Where I and Sean Payton, his coach, think he was, who gave him $85 million to go away.
Said Bo Nix like Mahomes.
Sean Payton needs to get it done. Right, exactly. Sean Payton needs to get it done.
So here is where I would push back on the Steelers and how they played last year, with the quarterback play. It might have been a mirage. I don't think it was sustainable. Mason Rudolph played really well. Yeah. And so it wasn't a situation where it's like the Jets 2 years ago, where the 3 lowest rated quarterbacks in football, Flacco, Zach Wilson, and I forgot who their third quarterback was. Mike White were 3 Jets, and they were getting bad quarterback play every single game. They won 7 games, why people were optimistic when they got Rodgers. The Steelers actually were getting good quarterback play from Mason Rudolph. It's why they started him over a healthy Kenny Pickett in the playoffs. What the Steelers have going for them is how soft the beginning of their schedule is, which we can show you. It does come with a downside, which is, man, they better have, if they're going to make the playoffs, Brew, I think we can show you the Steelers schedule.
Great stuff, right?
That final column is hellacious. Really, week 11 on. But from week 11 to week 18, you play the Ravens twice, the Bengals twice, the Chiefs, The
Not
Browns.
making the playoffs. Where are you going to walk that back?
I mean,
look at this.
But the
Tomlin
first
does
10
not
weeks.
He's never had a losing
I mean,
season.
the question is, can they start 7-2? Honestly, that's the question.
Look at that.
not
Nick's right. Look at that first
I mean, the
column.
question is,
every
can they,
one of those.
Is
even
Kirk Cousins
Dallas
bad
is
all of a
winnable.
sudden? Kirk Cousins will have the advantage week 1.
the quarterback advantage, yeah.
Okay,
for
but
sure.
it's in Atlanta.
I
it's
think
his
they're better
debut.
than Atlanta. I think they're better than Atlanta.
Maybe. We haven't seen Kirk Cousins in Atlanta. I'm interested in Atlanta. But it's going to write Kirk Cousins
Coming off an injury.
The point that I'm.
You bring that up every time we talk Aaron Rodgers.
Well, he's
Coming off
going
an
for 300
injury.
yards more.
Isn't it the same injury?
But to my point, Wildes, at Atlanta is their second hardest game of the first 10 weeks.
Sure.
Like that's like you have Raiders, Jets, Giants, Washington as a 4-game stretch with a bye sandwiched in the middle of it. Yeah, that is, and we can move on. If they are going to, we're going to know early, Brew, kind of what you were saying about the Bears, but in the opposite way,
Yeah.
where you were like, if they lose to the Panthers and to UConn, they're not going to make the playoffs.
But think how many years recently you've been surprised by the Steelers.
No, I get
You know what I
it.
mean? Like,
They have,
even
they
if they
have
start
delivered mediocrity like
Wildes
no other
is very
team.
anti-serious.
No, great. It's
Yeah.
a great franchise. Right there every year. 500. Haven't won a playoff game in a long
Says
time.
the guy whose rallying cry this season is the drive for 5.
I say it. The Steelers are on the same
not rings.
path as the Patriots.
Really?
Yes. All-time great quarterback
Yes.
disappears. We don't know what we're doing.
Well, they're still making the
draft a
playoffs.
quarterback in the first round. Let's get rid of him. And now what are we going to do? At least we're back drafting another quarterback, and they're taking 2 guys like, well, maybe
Justin
this will work.
Fields.
Well,
we'll
but no,
see.
but that's
Justin Fields is Mac Jones. They are the same guy. They were in the same draft class. One guy has put up worse numbers. They were traded for 4th-round picks. What was Mac Jones? I believe a 4th-round pick. So it's like
Mac is.
I think Mac was a
back.
sixth-round pick,
fourth
regardless. But that's
Mac has already been penciled in as a career back.
But we can
not quite
hold on.
Justin.
Justin Fields is a
Not
week
yet.
1 backup.
So far.
Okay, we can move. We can go to the. I want to
Mac
get.
Jones. I had a good Aiyuk take that I'm going to save now. Sirianni got more hands-on last season. Muddled the staff's ability to convey one consistent message to the quarterback. The Hurts-Sirianni dynamic does not work as well when it's 1-to-1. A source saying there was never a moment last year where they were operating in a healthy relationship. My goodness, Brew, you ascribed their downfall to a supernatural funk.
I called it.
After reading this article, I don't know if that works, but we're going to keep trying it. Do you believe the funk is over?
I do.
Wow. Why? Who's gone?
Several things about the article.
Please.
One, the timing. Why didn't this come out a few weeks after the season? Because people talked, right? People within the organization decided they're going to talk to Jeremy Fowler and I can't remember the other guy's name that wrote the article, right? Yeah, they're going to talk to them. They didn't talk right after the season because it wasn't over. They weren't sure was Sirianni going to remain coach? If he did remain coach, how were things with Jalen? Like, when you talk about something when it's over. My wife and I, we had a tough stretch a couple years ago, but now things are good, right? When it's over, you're willing to talk.
All right.
And that wasn't that was
But
just an example.
Sirianni and Hurts wouldn't talk for this, Brew. They refused to talk.
There was no value in them talking.
Why
about
can't
it.
they just do? We had a rough stretch. It's over.
The other people in the
like it.
organization were like, now they're like, okay, we think it's done. Let's kind of get it out there. Look, the timing for an article like this is never great unless it's after a Super Bowl win.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying it's great
I think
timing.
it's a solid number.
Yeah, I do think now that they're talking about it.
savviness.
Secondly, Jalen Hurts said, I think we're in a great place. That was a direct quote in the article.
Okay, I did not. I actually think that's the opposite.
Oh, but he said that. That
How
was a
are
quote.
your wife doing? I think we're in a great place.
Nick Sirianni is now, according to the article, hands off.
Oh, that's
The problem with him, like with the Funk, was all of a sudden he's hands-on. He wants to talk to Jalen about what are we doing.
Yeah, so now he doesn't
and Brian
talk to
Johnson.
right.
goes
Now
to-
they're not allowed to talk one-on-one.
Working
They
great.
have to have a
We
mediator.
have separate
in there.
bedrooms.
No,
The relationship's never been better.
That's okay.
Okay,
That's okay.
can I-
The fact that he is hands off, letting Kellen Moore do his thing. Kellen Moore's putting in stuff to combat the blitz that wasn't there for some reason last year. He's putting in more pre-snap motion that wasn't there for some reason last year. So I think the Funk is gone. However, like every supernatural Funk, it could come back if they a couple losses, a few
all right,
losses,
so, okay.
but it's gone right
So
now.
listen, since you were talking about the kind of journalistic beats of this,
Yeah.
let me ask you a question, Brew, from your time at the Gray Lady and many other prestigious publications. The most important part of the story is what?
That they weren't getting.
No. Of any story you write,
the
most
lead.
The lead.
Yeah.
And then this either the second most important part or the part you want to stick with
There's
people.
a nut graph.
And
that's
then
up there.
okay, but the kicker that they usually put something juicy of note at the end.
You try to wrap it up.
Yeah, wrap it up. Here's the kicker of the story if you didn't get to it. Do I think they will go to dinner together? Hell no. But it could be a good working professional relationship, and I don't think it's hatred.
This is a wrap.
That was a little strong.
That's
Hell no and hatred. That gave me pause. I ain't gonna lie. It gave me pause.
That's how the story ended. And let me tell you what the actual nut graph, I guess, or the real meat of the story told me. I've seen this before.
Oh, with who?
A coach who had success with a quarterback who deep down he thinks might be a little limited. The quarterback then wants to expand past it and show everyone how, that he's a star, and the coach is pulling against it. That was the Russell Wilson, Pete Carroll thing. It just took a long time. No, but
Well, that's
Brew, you agree, right?
Well, but Russ started that. Remember when he started dropping
Of course.
hints about, hey, I'd like to move.
No,
on.
I understand, but
Super Bowl loss.
but I just
I don't
feel
know
like
that Carroll ever would have got. I don't know. It's not a Carroll Russ discussion, but I don't know that Carroll would have went there if Russ hadn't started it.
No, that's fair. The point I'm making is it usually doesn't end in everything's all good now. And so, I think the clock's ticking on the relationship, and I think the article showed that, personally.
Yeah, that's over.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.